We were extremely lucky to attend the secret world premiere of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World at Comic-Con this past weekend with the cast and crew present. I am a big Scott Pilgrim fan. He hasn't read the books. I read all of them, including the sixth one, even though it came out while we were in California for Comic-Con. So I was extremely excited for this. I could not believe it when Edgar Wright told everyone at the Comic-Con panel, "Come follow me to the premiere." I was bugging out, I was extremely excited, and I am very, very happy to say that I absolutely loved Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I thought it was fantastic, perfectly true to the book's adaptation, for the most part, except the sixth one, but I'll get into that. But Edgar Wright, I mean, this was the perfect way for the movie to happen. He did an unbelievable job, and you haven't read the books. What did you think about it?
Oh, I thought it was so much fun. I don't really know as much. I didn't know the pre-story of seeing the movie. It was all new to me, but I just had so much fun watching it from
cheering
start to finish.
And just bugging out and cracking up. It was absolutely hilarious. You know, there was some stuff. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that's not in the book that's in the movie that's hilarious. But I think Brian Lee O'Malley, you know, came up with some stuff, I believe. Who is the author of the books, by the way? You looked confused. Edgar Wright, like I said, perfect sense of humor, of course, if you're a fan of him. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. He is the perfect person to do this movie, and it just came out fantastic. Acting-wise, you know, I was worried when they announced Michael Cera to be playing Scott Pilgrim because Michael Cera didn't seem to be strong enough of an actor to do it, or, you know, as his past roles have shown. You know, he's always doing the awkward thing, and Scott Pilgrim, yeah, he's awkward, but he's cool. You know, he's not nerdy so much. But I can't believe it. Michael Cera pulled it off. He pulled off cool, but awkward and slightly nerdy at the same time, but still not, you know, not too awkward and nerdy like he is in other movies, and I applaud him for that because I really wasn't sure if he was going to do it, but he did it. He was definitely stronger in this one, which is exactly what the character needed. Yeah, definitely. So this hopefully will get him, you know, some recognition outside of what he's done in the past. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I'll point out, who played Ramona Flowers, of course. She was great, too. I mean, I'm sure most of the guys in the room were like falling in love with her. She was great. And I'm not going to point out anybody else, but the last person I specifically have to mention, I love this whole family at this point, Kieran Culkin, who played Wallace Wells. He was, I mean, I don't know if he was the best, but a lot of people are saying he was their favorite. He was absolutely hilarious. He did the character fantastically. I don't know if he did it exactly how I imagined the character to be, but he did it in a way that, like, it didn't matter. Like, I loved his portrayal of Wallace. It was fantastic.
Basically, there's just a lot of, like you said, the cast is huge. And there's
huge ensemble cast. And without them, you know, everybody is needed for it to work, so
and most of them are only in it for a short time, but, you know, it's great, great scenes, great actors. It was really wonderful characters,
yeah.
I mean, from the books, from what you know, but I really fell in love with them, too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody did a great job, and I think that, I think it was one of the best ensemble casts where everybody was important, so it was great.
It was great.
It was great. Style and effects are a big thing we have to talk about here.
Oh, yeah.
The style was completely unheard of, really. It was like a movie and a video game and almost like moving magazine covers sometimes. You know, it was just insane. And, of course, a comic book. Everything thrown in together. And like I said, Edgar Wright was the perfect man for the job here. He blended it all together perfectly. Even if you don't like the movie, you have to admit that it's like nothing you've ever seen before. It's just a nonstop. Like, well, I turned to you a few times and I was like, this movie is just nonstop. It never lets up.
The comedy was relentless.
Yeah, relentless is a perfect word. Not even the comedy, but just everything. Mm-hmm. Because it's like every single thing is just totally quirky and crazy, you know? Relentless is a perfect word. It never gives up. It's crazy.
Which for him, I think it was a lot easier because he knew everything that was coming up next.
Yeah.
For me, I got everything that he got, but I struggled a little bit more.
Yeah, that's an important thing to point out. I think that it's definitely a movie for the fans. This is a absolute movie for the fans. Maybe a little hard to follow. I was surprised that he followed everything the first time, you know, just the first time around, because it was, you know, things were explained very quickly. I feel like it was very hard to jump in if you have never heard of the books or read the books or anything. Specifically, subspace. You still don't even get it.
I don't really think.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's crazy in the books too, but it was just she explained it so quickly that it was just like, what? I barely heard it, but I read the books, so I understand it. Of course, I would also like to point out real quick the sixth book came out, you know, just before the movie release, really. So They didn't get, it's kind of like Kick-Ass in the sense where, you know, they kind of changed up the ending a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess Brian O'Malley told them what happens. They changed it up a little bit. I was alright with that, but, you know, opposite of Kick-Ass, I preferred the movie ending of Kick-Ass over the book ending. I kind of preferred the 6th book over the ending of Scott Pilgrim. But that's alright, because I love the ending of Scott Pilgrim anyway, but the book ending was great, but that's not what we're talking about, so, you know, that's a whole side note.
I have just skimmed through the books, and the artwork of it, the characters, their eyes are very big, and it leaves a lot for expression, facial expression, and the characters, specifically Michael Cera and
Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yes. They both, you know, they had, you know, faces down, eyes wide open, and that was their...
That was it.
You know, that wasn't an expression, that was just like their...
Character.
Yes.
That's just how they looked.
That's how they looked, and I thought that was really effective.
Yeah. He did read through the first one, so he saw some stuff.
Some people, I don't think, will like that, and I think there's a lot of things about this... I don't think...
It's not a... It's like I said, it's really a movie for the fans. This movie, I'm not expecting it to go over that well.
In no way will everyone love this movie.
I'm you know, I'll be surprised if it's generally well received by everybody, because a lot of people are not going to like it. They're going to be like, whoa, this is an unconventional, non-traditional movie. You're shaking things up, Edgar Wright. I don't like it, you know?
The conservative fans.
Yeah, they're not going to like it. They're going to be like, what am I watching? It's a very artistic, very new style movie, and, you know, if you go in with an open mind, you're going to love it, I'm sure. It's just crazy. If you just sit back and just ride this crazy roller coaster that is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, you're going to have a great time. So finally, yeah, getting back to the effects, I mean, it kind of ties into everything we've said, but I think the effects and like kind of like the battle scenes and stuff like that, you know, like with the punch and the whole screen shakes and it's like huge thud, I think that the action scenes and the fighting scenes in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World blew away a lot of action movies. Just, you know, common action movies. I'm not going to name any specifically, but, you know, certain ones I'm thinking of,
you could tell that it was, like, thrown in effects, but, you know, because of the style of the movie, it was believable. It was,
yeah.
You accepted it.
It was just, and it was very intense. I mean, I watch action movies that are supposed to be, like, you know, crazy fight scenes and stuff like that, and I don't react the way I did in Scott Pilgrim. A lot of times we were like, oh, you know, when people got hit, and it really looked like it hurt and seemed like it hurt. But of course, because it's like the comics, they don't actually get hurt. They just get right back up and keep going. So it's very interesting. It's like a video game, like I said, like a video game, like a comic book. It was very, very interesting. And, you know, even though we've kind of said it already a couple times, just reiterating the fact that it was just like the comics in the sense that, you know, things popped up, you know, like bam, you know, whoosh, stuff like that was just like in the comics. You know, from the comic to the movie looked exactly the same. And then also, there was, when they introduced the characters, they had, like, those little boxes that are in the comics, and I thought that was great. And just, I don't know, just, it's tough. I feel like we're kind of just sounding like broken records at this point, but just everything about it was very, very cool, very fun, very new, and very faithful, extremely faithful to the comics, to the books, to the graphic novels, whatever you want to call them.
Very risky. I don't know if I'd really listen to too many reviews, even though this is a review.
It's going to be tough.
You really have to decide for yourself if this is a good movie.
And, you know, I mean, it's hard. You can tell from the trailers that it's going to be crazy, but I think the trailers are kind of tame compared to the movie. So it's pretty crazy. It's really nonstop from the beginning to the end. It's just nonstop. Towards the end, it calms down a little bit, but it's a wild ride. There's not a lot of spoilerish stuff to say about this movie. We really don't have that much to say other than just, you know, talking about the movie itself, not specific things. But the one thing that we will leave you with is Seinfeld. That's all I'm going to say. Unbelievable. Brilliant.
A great nod.
Absolutely brilliant. And that being said, pretty much like we kind of just went over, very risky movie, very new style. I absolutely applaud Edgar Wright, and I thank him so much as a Scott Pilgrim fan for making this movie exactly how we wanted it to be, without worrying, I would say without worrying about what other people would think about it. It's like he literally just wanted to please the fans and hopefully please everybody else, but he really wanted to please the fans, it seems like.
Very bold.
And he did. Very bold, very risky, and he deserves all the recognition for doing a fantastic adaptation of Scott Pilgrim, the series.
Mm-hmm.
So, let us know in the comments what you thought of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Let me know if you read the books, so that I know, and let me know if you haven't read the books, and let me know what you thought of Michael Cera, because of course that's going to be a huge debate. I'm sure it has been.
He's Scott Pilgrim.
Yes. Let us know what you thought of him in the lead role, and just anything you want to tell us. Let us know in general what you thought, and that is pretty much it. Cool.